don't want to get everyone all fired up here, but it doesn't seem fair to Colby either, where he's banished to this, gatekeeper status, and that's just, I don't know. I think that he needs to be able to put himself into fights to get him back to the title, not being the bar that's set to see if Usman will fight you. Plus he's a bad stylistic matchup for a lot of people, and that could put you in a position where that leaves Usman, like you said, with not just fighting Colby, without anybody else to fight.
Yeah,
Colby goes through 3 or 4 contenders, and then fights Usman, and then gets beat again. Then who do you have? Then you're stuck at the 6th and 7th guys in the world.
Just bring up the top 10 in the welterweights on screen, please, Brian. Just so we can look at that and have a proper conversation. But listen, Colby's fantastic and he's clearly the next best. But there's still a lot of people that he has to fight. I know he was calling out Dustin Poirier and there was a potential of that fight happening. I'm not a fan of that for either man. For Colby Covington, it could be a great win over a big name and keeps him in the public eye, get him back to winning ways and earn some money. And of course, that's what we're all here for. And I understand that. However, it's a win over a lightweight. Thanks, babe. Mm-hmm. For Dustin Poirier, it would be I admire him for going up there and fighting him. It's a fight that I think he would struggle with, if I'm honest, stylistically, but you never know. You never know. But again, what does that do for him if he wins at welterweight? He's focused on becoming lightweight champion of the world. Let's have a look. Where is, so Charles Oliver. No. Where's welter? Oh, there it is. Sorry.
Right there.
Edwards, of course, he's next. But so Covington hasn't fought Edwards. He hasn't fought Chimeav. He hasn't fought Gilbert Burns. He hasn't fought Bilal Muhammad. Has he fought Vicente Luque? I don't think he has either.
Mm-mm. He hasn't fought Stephen Thompson either.
See, do you know what I mean?
There's a lot of good fights for him.
There's a lot of good fights for him, And
that is weird. How did he get there without fighting any of those guys? Because he obviously hasn't fought Sean Brady or Neil Magny that was just the top 15. He's only fought like 2 of those guys.
Well, this is it. And I'm not being a Colby hater because actually I'm not. Ever since I sat down with him before his last fight and I did an interview with him for BT Sport, I saw a completely different side. I really enjoyed it.
Not to toot your horn, but
toot it.
I thought that was one of the best interviews I've ever seen with Colby. That is the best Colby Covington interview I've ever seen.
Well, thank you very much.
He still had his shtick a little bit where he was still kind of being the chaos, but he was able to, he pulled back the curtains a little bit and he took his guard down. You could tell he trusted you, that you weren't trying to walk him into a trap or anything. It was just a very man-to-man conversation. I thought it was the best interview I've ever seen of him.
Now,
Masvidal too.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And that's what I'm saying, though. After that interview, I was like, I walked away from that having a lot. I respect everyone that steps in the goddamn octagon as it is. But there's this perceived beef between me and Colby because with this thing we had on Fox Sports years ago. I've never even ran into him. But after that, I had a tremendous amount of respect for him and what he brings to the table, But there is a lot of good fights for him at welterweight. Yeah, I guess. Kamaru's got a point because there's a lot of people that Colby needs to fight. And I guess if he gets beat, they get a title shot. Is that what he's saying? It sounds like it.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And he might not be wrong. That's what my point. Like, I don't think you have to beat Colby to get through to him. I think, I guess his point is if you beat Colby, that's probably good enough to get a shot. And I don't disagree with that.
No, exactly. All right, Harrington, what you got, bud? Well, I see we're running slim on the pickings.
No. I mean, speaking of Kamaru Usman, this is actually interesting. He gave an update on his injury. He says he's got a tendon issue where he's not getting blood into the tendons in his hand. And he said that, while he probably could take a fight right now, his doctors say that's risking further injury. It could keep him out for years and years. And he does want to strike while the iron's hot, get as many fights in his prime as possible. So there is no exact timetable for when he's going to come back, but, he could be looking at up to a year out of the octagon. When do you guys think is the right time to install, an interim champion at 170?
Yeah, well, it's a shame that we have to have this conversation because Kamaru is such an incredible champion, I mean, what he's done, what he's achieved in this sport is sensational. It really is. But if he can't fight anytime soon, there are conversations that need to start starting to be thought about taking place. You know what I'm saying? Because he last fought in November. We're only in May. It's not too bad. Apparently, he's damaged a tendon. They repaired it, so they operated on it. But apparently, there's some other damage. They might have to potentially operate again because not a lot of blood is going to that area. If you don't know, when the blood comes, that brings all the rich nutrients that helps the healing process. I don't know. I think if it gets to a year, though, I mean, because Leon Edwards is sitting there waiting for a bloody title fight, you know? If we can't schedule it soon, then perhaps an interim title fight. Leon Edwards, Colby Covington. There it is again, to your point a second ago. Or Leon Edwards, Khamzat Chimeav. I'd rather see that, if I'm totally honest. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's the one I'd probably rather see. I think I'm with you. Like, if we're getting to a point where we're going to be at a year and there's no possibility it's going to be before that, I think that that's fair to the division to let it keep on moving. And I don't think Kamaru would be upset with that. I really don't. If he's going to be out anyways, and he'll just come back and fight when he's ready, and he'll fight whoever has it. He doesn't seem like the type of guy that really give a shit.
No, and he shouldn't. I've told this 20 times, so I'll keep it brief, but I don't think I've told you. When I was the champ, they wanted me to fight. I needed surgery, and I'd already been out for a little bit. So Dana said, well, Mike, we're going to have to do an interim belt. I said, sure, go ahead. No skin off my nose. That's just solidifying a number one contender. And then when you fight, they can bill it as champion versus champion.
It's bigger anyway.
And it's an even bigger fight, so therefore more pay-per-view points. So I was like, yeah, fuck it, go ahead. And I'm sure Kamaru is very, very confident in his position as champion. I mean, come on, the guy's fucking smoking everybody. So yeah, there we go. What else we got?
Okay, so we talked about it a little bit earlier. Amanda Nunes opened up about why she left ATT. She says that Kayla Harrison came in. The quote is, "I was bothered by the whole situation. Of course, there were no girls when I got to American Top Team. I was the first woman to bring 2 belts to put the women's team in history. When Kayla Harrison got there, then Yana Kunitskaya began creating a weird situation because that was my territory. Other bantamweights were coming in, et cetera, and people were just getting on her turf." So I just wanted to ask you guys if you've ever had a situation like that.
Sorry, I just want to clarify something. Getting on whose turf? Getting on Yana Kunitskaya's turf? Getting on Amanda's turf?
Amanda's turf. So Amanda was the top dog at ATT, and then Kayla Harrison came over, and then Yana Kunitskaya is somebody who was in the rankings and very close.
Oh, sorry, pardon me. Yeah, so you're saying that it's more and more UFC bantamweight started to train there. Hey, listen, that's the situation with the Super Gym. But go on. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you guys if you've ever had a situation like that where you're like established as like a fighter at this place, and then somebody else in your weight division or somebody who could be a future opponent starts showing up and using your coaches and learning kind of your game plan. Like, that does seem like an uncomfortable situation. I just wanted to get you guys' take on it.
Anthony?
Yeah, so there's a couple guys I think there's 2 guys at Factory X that are 205ers. One of them just went down to 185. The other one's in the rankings. It's Dustin Jacoby, really, really tough dude. Good friend of mine.
Yeah. I love watching him fight, by the way. Great kickboxer.
So good. So good on his feet. There's another new 205er that everyone's really excited about. That Mark is very excited for me to get there and train with. He's a PFL guy. Who knows where he ends up after the PFL? Here he's a fucking killer. It sounds like a lot of the guys at the gym are excited for me to come so they don't have to deal with him anymore. So I look at that very differently, though. Like, when Cody Brundage calls and says, dude, this motherfucker's good. You got to get here and come train with this guy. I'm very excited about that because I want someone to push me, someone my size, my skill level, that's going to push the pace and make me fucking work hard for it. I look forward to that kind of stuff. So I don't want to sound like I'm talking bad about the champ, but former champ, I suppose. It seems very, I don't know. It seems weird to me.
I'm with you 100%.
You know where I'm going.
Because the thing is, from my perspective, like, you're there, you want the best possible training partners. The best possible training partners are really high-skilled people that are your weight. Because if they're too heavy, number one, you might get injured. If they're too light, then you've got a size and strength advantage, working on technique. And again, I have nothing but respect for Amanda Nunes as a fighter, as a person.